What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Wrestling World. Survivor Series was a stacked card with a lot of non-stop action. But if you took a look at the commentary teams, then you might have noticed someone was missing. WWE had special commentators set up to call each match depending on which brand was competing. But one of the main commentators from NXT was nowhere to be found. This commentator was Mauro Ranallo. Mauro has had an amazing career and has worked all over the world. He called wrestling action for many different companies and was even a commentator for the huge matchup of Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor that took place several years ago. He signed with WWE back in 2015, and his signing was a huge deal. WWE decided to make him the voice of Smackdown, and that's where he would end up spending most of his time at. He also commentated for WWE 205 Live with Corey Graves and Austin Aries. But his WWE run was cut short in 2017 for a mysterious reason. WWE tried covering up the story at the time by saying he had flight issues. But once several weeks went by and he still wasn't on SmackDown, WWE changed the story to him being ill, and that turned out to be the truth. The reports back then claimed that it was JBL, whose constant bullying finally caused Mauro to snap, and he no longer wanted to work alongside him. After a long break from social media, Mauro returned to say that his doctors told him to stay off social media, and that his situation had nothing to do with JBL. Mauro would then take a break from WWE. He removed all mentions of WWE from his profile, and WWE did the same thing, leading many to believe that their working relationship was over. Mauro did return to WWE later on, this time on NXT, with a new supporting cast, and has been calling the action on NXT for a handful of years now. Fast forwarding a few years to present day, and it looks like we have a similar situation happening once again. Mauro called NXT TakeOver and did a phenomenal job with the show. But the very next night, on one of the biggest shows of the year, Survivor Series, Mauro was unfortunately missing. WWE's story was that he blew his voice out from commentating at NXT TakeOver. But if we look on social media, we get a hint that it could be something else. It all started during NXT TakeOver. Corey Graves, who was obviously watching the show, had this to say on Twitter while watching the show. Just for the record, guys, I know you wouldn't know it, but there's actually a WWE Hall of Famer and a former Ring of Honor champion on commentary. I'd imagine they have a lot to offer. What Corey was implying here was that Mauro was calling so much action that wasn't sharing any time for his fellow commentators to share their thoughts. When a fan asked how much Chicago rap references Mauro made, Corey also replied by saying far too many. This is referring to all the pop culture references Mauro used in his commentary. When these jabs got back to Mauro, he responded by temporarily deactivating his Twitter account, and obviously didn't show up for Survivor Series, where he would have likely been working with Corey Graves. Mauro's close friend, Frank Shamrock, responded to Corey's tweet with an image that said, "Social media has made too many of you comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the mouth for it." All the backlash and heat started going Corey's way after it was discovered that he possibly played a role in Mauro's absence at Survivor Series. Corey did respond to the backlash, but not with an apology. He responded with a few comments that almost made it sound like he was doubling down on his comments from before. He had this to say, "It's far more conducive to the human condition to be mad than to be wrong," as well as, "Three things cannot be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth." So that was Corey's official response, and the comment section on his tweets is still filled up with some backlash from fans. So it's likely that him blowing his voice was just a cover-up story for his absence. But it's really unfortunate that Mauro is going through the same horrible situation that almost made us lose him from WWE a few years ago. Of course, everyone might not enjoy his commentating style, but how about just going up to him in person and giving him some advice on what he could improve, instead of just calling him out on social media, especially when we know his condition and what he's already been through in the past. Especially to be called out and just teased like that, especially with someone you work with, just seems a little off. But there is no apology coming from Corey's way at all. So where does this leave Mauro's status? It's likely that he'll just resume his work at NXT. He's a crucial part of NXT's commentary, and he never has to work with Corey Graves over on NXT. And he's already familiar with the supporting cast over there, so it should be a smooth transition back for him. It's just really unfortunate that he missed such a huge pay-per-view in such a huge night for NXT because of these few tweets. But we want to hear your thoughts on this situation. Did Corey Graves go too far, or do you think that Corey was right to say what he said? Leave your comments, don't forget to subscribe with notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next one.